Today's news segment, we're talking about automatic extensions being ended now. So if you have a work permit in the United States, you really need to watch out, right? Because I'm going to talk about the natural consequences of this thing being canceled by USCIS. What are we talking about right now? A lot of people have work permits to be able to work in the United States before they get a green card. So you're filing for adjustment of status. While it's pending, you have a work permit. If you're on DACA, you're on a work permit. If you're on asylum, you're on a work permit before you finally get your green card. So work permit, ultimately, you could think about it like it's like a mini work authorization to be able to work. Doesn't mean you could travel, but at least you're legally, you're able to work. Now, in the past, for decades, when you are renewing your work authorization, it generally gets approved. Very little adjudication on the part of USCIS, and there's a lot of reasons for that. Because, and I'll get into it. It's because a lot of times it is done by contractors. It is expensive. You don't want to spend trained immigration officer personnel time to review work authorization extensions when somebody else is already spending that same amount of time adjudicating your case. And so now when you're filing the extension, why spend the time and resource to re-adjudicate that? The United States does a lot of that for a lot of different types of cases, but now we just got notice. They're saying no. When you are renewing your work authorization, we're going to review your application. For most people, they'll probably still be able to get it, but for some people, they won't.
It's just the need of having to have that work permit to continue to pay for that work permit, essentially, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's one thing to highlight. So important to plan ahead of time. If you know you're going to have to renew in a year and a half, maybe, you start saving somewhere. Yeah. And that way you can prepare it.
Here is the unintended consequence with work authorizations being canceled where you're renewing. Now, the government is going to have to spend an enormous amount of effort and time to adjudicate them. And what could take 3 months, 4 months naturally might take 15 months. I'm not just throwing out random numbers here. A few years ago, we had work authorizations that took up to 15 months. Every single application is different. For most applications, they recommend filing it 180 days prior. With DACA, it's a little bit less.
150 or 120 days for DACA. Mm-hmm.
Before your work authorization is up. And let's say you didn't heed that deadline and it's only 90 days before, 3 months before, 2 months before, 1 month before. Now you file. If the adjudication time is still 3 months or 4 months, maybe you have to take an extended absence and you cannot work, or else you're unauthorized to work. This is already live. Now, the adjudication time for work authorizations right now, I would say is still between 4 months to 6 months.
Yes, usually 4 to 6 months in the long term. Special circumstances sometimes require an additional 3 months, which is 9 months, but for the most part, it's within 3 to 6 months.
And that's why they tell everyone, please file your extension work 120 days before, 150 days, 180 days. And if it takes too long, we'll give you an automatic extension so your work is not disrupted. I mean, the advice is file early. File as soon as you can, right? If you file too early, it might cause a problem. We've seen that happen with some clients because they file too early. USCIS doesn't know what to do with it. They put it away, but then they forgot to pick it up to adjudicate it. And so it actually took longer. You're thinking, that's impossible. We've seen it happen. We've seen it happen to one of our very, very own.
Some work permit categories, when you do the renewal, you don't pay a fee. Mm-hmm. So adjustment of a status application, which is the C9 category, that one does not have, you don't have to pay to renew it. DACA work permit, for example, you have to pay every time that you renew it. And this is the reason why some people wait so long, right? So you're having to pay this application fee every year and a half in order for you to maintain your status. But then obviously it's burdensome for some people. But another thing is, like, if you have a criminal background check, a criminal background, you need to make sure that you're providing that documentation, even though when you do the renewal for the DACA, it says you do not need to provide documentation you've previously provided. We had a situation with a client. He had some sort of vandalism charge when he was a juvenile, and we had previously provided the information. One renewal we did without the information, and we got an RFE. But the application clearly says, do not provide information you've already provided.
Right.
So one of the things we told our client is, from now on, when we renew the work permit, you're going to need to go get a certified court disposition that is up to you, sealed or stamped, and we're going to have to submit it just to make sure that we don't have that RFE, because think of it. So every year and a half, you're renewing that work permit, but you don't submit and you get an RFE, that delays the adjudication process even longer. So your work permit is going to expire regardless of you filing the 150 days before. So I think that's something to keep in mind, that, you better be safe than sorry. Just send out all the documentation. Every application is different, specifically talking about the DACA. You have to make sure that you report your addresses where you have lived from the last time where you filed the DACA. And essentially just give them all the forms, make sure you sign the forms, make sure that you put the right filing fees change, and you need to make sure that you're diligent with those things.